3,000 years ago, in the silent halls of Solomon's temple, a secret lay hidden. A secret so powerful that the wisest rabbis swore to protect it only for those who were prepared. It wasn't gold, it wasn't power, it was something far more valuable. It was the map to finding oneself when all seems lost. At this very moment, as you listen to me, millions of souls wander the earth lost, aimless, purposeless, peaceless. They wake up each morning with an inexplicable emptiness in their chest. They look around and no longer recognize who they are. And the question that torments them is always the same. Why am I here? What is my path? But what I'm about to reveal will change all that. Because in the Torah, hidden in a single Hebrew word, lies the answer you've been searching for. And when you understand this, when you truly grasp what I'm about to share with you today, your life will never be the same. You're not lost by accident. You're lost because you were taught to look in the wrong place. Let me ask you something that will touch the deepest part of your soul. When was the last time you felt you truly knew who you were? When was the last time you woke up with the absolute certainty that you were on the right path? If this question touched you, stay with me. Because today, you will discover the way back home. Before continuing, if this message resonates with your soul, please subscribe to this channel. We are a community of seekers of ancestral truth, and together we rediscover the secrets that can transform lives. It is written in Psalm 139, verse 14. I praise you because I am an admirable and wonderful creation. But there is something profound in these words that has been lost in translation. In Hebrew, the word used is niflaiti, which doesn't just mean wonderful, it means set apart for a divine, unique, and unrepeatable purpose. You see, the secret that the ancient rabbis knew was this. You are not lost. You are in transition between who you thought you were and who you truly are. In Kabbalah, there is a concept called tzimtzum, divine contraction. God, in his infinite wisdom, withdrew to create a space where you could exist. He created a void, a sacred space, and in that space, he placed you. But here's what most people don't understand. This emptiness is not a punishment. It is pure potential. When you feel lost, when you feel you no longer know who you are not destroying yourself. You are rebuilding yourself. You are going through your personal tzimtzum. God is creating space within you for something greater. The rabbis taught that every man and woman goes through 7 deserts in life, 7 moments of profound loneliness and confusion, and in each desert, a false part of you dies, and a true part is born. Moses wandered in the desert for 40 years before finding the promised land. But he wasn't lost. He was being prepared. Every step in the desert was a step toward his true identity. The Torah teaches us something profound in Genesis chapter 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. But here's the secret. The Hebrew word for image is tselem, which also means shadow. You were created as a shadow of God, not a copy, a shadow. And what happens to a shadow when you move away from the light? It disappears. When you feel lost, it's because you've strayed from divine light. You've begun searching for your identity in the wrong things: money, status, the approval of others, external achievements. And the more you searched outside yourself, the more lost you felt. Because your true identity isn't outside, it's within, and you can only find it when you return to the light. The ancient rabbis taught, you don't find yourself, you remember yourself. Before you were born, your soul stood before God. It knew its mission, it knew its purpose. But at the moment of birth, an angel touched your lips, and you forgot everything. This forgetting is intentional, because life is a journey of rediscovery. Feeling lost is not a mistake, it's an invitation to stop looking outside and start looking within. In Kabbalah, there is a secret teaching about the 4 mansions of the soul: Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, and Jaya. Most people live only in the Nefesh, the animal soul. They live to survive. To eat, sleep, work, repeat. And that's why they feel empty. Because the Nefesh was never created to give meaning. It was created to keep you alive. But there are 3 deeper levels within you waiting to be awakened. Hirukit is the emotional soul, where you feel purpose, connection, and true love. He thank you. It is the intellectual soul where you understand your divine mission. And the Chaya, it is the eternal soul, where you unite completely with the divine. When you feel lost, it's because you're only living in the Nefesh. You're living on the surface. But inside you, there are entire layers of reality waiting to be discovered. The Jewish secret is this. You need to descend before you can ascend. You need to enter the void before you can find fulfillment. There is a reason the people of Israel had to cross the desert before entering the promised land. It wasn't just a matter of geography. It was a spiritual transformation. In the desert, there are no distractions. There is no comfort. There is nowhere to hide from yourself. It's just you and God. And in that emptiness, you finally hear the truth. The Hebrew word for desert is midbar, which comes from the root davar, which means word the talk. The desert is where God speaks. When you feel lost, when everything around you seems empty, you are not abandoned. You are invited to the desert. You are invited to listen. And what does God want to tell you? He wants to remind you who you really are. Here's what you should do. Every day, for just 5 minutes, close your eyes and say this ancient prayer. Ribbono shel olam, Master of the universe, I do not know who I am, but I know that you know. Reveal yourself to me. Show me the path you prepared for me before I was born. I trust in you. I surrender myself to you. Guide me back home. And after that prayer, sit in silence. Don't force anything. Just listen. Listen to your heart. Listen to your soul. Listen to the still, silent voice within you that has always known the truth. The rabbis taught, God doesn't answer with words, He answers with peace. When you find peace in emptiness, you have found God. And when you find God, you find yourself. The last secret is the most difficult, because it demands surrender. You have to accept that you may never fully know who you are, and maybe that's the point. Maybe life isn't about having all the answers. Maybe it's about asking the right questions. The Torah ends without completing the story of Moses. He sees the promised land, but he doesn't enter it. Why? Because the journey is more important than the destination. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to take the next step and trust. The man who lost everything. There was a man in Tel Aviv named David. He had it all. A thriving business, a beautiful house, a family. But at 45, he lost everything in a financial crisis. Within 6 months, he was sleeping on his sister's couch, penniless, adrift, and hopeless. He told me, Rabbi, I don't know who I am anymore. I used to be a businessman. I used to be a supplier. Now I am nothing. I looked at him and said, David, you were never a businessman. You were never a supplier. That was just the clothes you wore. But the clothes aren't you. And now that you've taken off the clothes, you finally have the chance to discover who you really are. David began to pray the prayer of rediscovery every day. And within 3 months, something changed. He realized that his true passion had never been business. It was teaching. It was helping young people find their way. Today, David runs a nonprofit organization that helps at-risk youth. He earns less money. But he told me, Rabbi, for the first time in my life, I know who I am. Feeling lost was the greatest gift of his life. The woman who lost her voice. There was a woman named Rachel. She was 38 years old and had spent her entire life doing what others expected of her. She studied what her parents told her to study. She married someone her family approved of. She worked a job she hated because it seemed like the right thing to do. And one day he woke up and could no longer speak. Literally, he had lost his voice. The doctors found nothing wrong, but he couldn't make a sound. She came to me in despair, writing on a piece of paper, "Why is God punishing me?" I told her, "Rachel, God isn't punishing you. He's setting you free. You've spent 38 years speaking other people's words. Now He's forcing you to find your own voice." Rachel began to meditate in the desert of her soul, and in 6 weeks she recovered her voice. But not the same one. A new voice. A true voice. She quit her job. She ended her loveless marriage. And she began the life she always wanted to live. She told me, "Rabbi, I needed to lose myself completely in order to find myself." The boy who saw the light. There was a 12-year-old girl named Miriam. She was bright, but she was deeply depressed. She felt like she didn't fit in anywhere, at school, at home, in the world. Her parents brought her to me, and I asked her, "Miriam, where do you feel most like yourself?" She thought for a moment and said, "When I'm alone, when I read, when I write." I said, "So that's where God is calling you, not away from people, but inward, because that's where your mission awaits you." Miriam began to write poetry, short stories, prayers, and at 16 she published a book that moved thousands of young people who felt as lost as she did. She wrote me a letter that said, "Rabbi, I wasn't lost. I was being molded." Children understand better than adults. Emptiness is not the end. It is the beginning. What if I don't know Hebrew? What if I'm not Jewish? Listen carefully. God doesn't speak Hebrew. God speaks to the soul. The Torah was written in Hebrew, but the truth is universal. You don't need to be Jewish. You don't need to know Hebrew. You just need to have an open heart. The Jewish secret is for all humanity, because every human being at some point feels lost, and every human being has a soul that knows the way back home. What happens if I try and fail? On this journey, there are no failures. There is only discovery. Every step you take, even the wrong ones, leads you to where you need to be. The rabbis used to say, the way up is always from the bottom. You can't fail because you're already in the process. The mere fact that you're here, listening to this, means that something inside you has already awakened. What if I'm not spiritual enough? Spirituality isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. It's about being authentic. It's about recognizing what you don't know and being willing to learn. You are already spiritual enough because you have a soul, and the soul always knows the way. You just need to stop blocking it with fear and doubt. This is something that only the most advanced students of Kabbalah know. There is a moment in Jewish time called Ben Hashmashot, the moment between sunset and night. It is not day. It is not night. It is the space in between. And in that space, the mystics say, the gates of heaven open. It is then that the most powerful prayers are answered. It is then that transformation occurs. When you feel lost, you are in your own Ben Hashmashot. You are no longer who you were, but you are not yet who you will be. You are in the space in between, and this is the most sacred moment of all, because it is in this space that God works. So don't rush out of the void. Stay there, breathe there, pray there, because that's where you're being transformed. The brightest light always comes from the deepest darkness. Here's your challenge. For 30 days, every day upon waking, perform this sacred practice. Silence, 5 minutes of absolute silence. No phones, no distractions, just you and your breathing. Prayer, say, Master of the universe, reveal yourself to me today. Show me a sign of who I truly am. Attention. Throughout the day, pay attention to the signs. A word someone says, a feeling in your heart, a thought that arises out of nowhere. God is always speaking to you. You just need to listen. Gratitude. Before you go to sleep, be grateful for a moment when you felt alive today, even if it was just for a second. In 30 days, you won't have all the answers, but you will have clarity, you will have peace, and you will know that you are not lost. You are right where you need to be. My dear son, my dear daughter, may the Eternal One, blessed be He, open your eyes so that you may see the truth of who you are. May He remove the veils of illusion that cover your soul. May He guide you through the desert with a pillar of fire that never goes out. May every step you take into the void be transformed into sacred ground. May your confusion transform into clarity. May your pain transform into purpose. May your loneliness transform into communion with the divine. You are not lost. He is finding you. He who always knew where you were. He who created you with a divine purpose. He who will never, ever abandon you. May the peace that transcends all understanding fill your heart at this moment, that you may remember who you have always been, even before you were born. May your life be a testament to the infinite grace of the Creator, and that you will never feel lost again, because now you know, the path is within. Shalom. Peace be with you, today, tomorrow, and always.